Fallout Online, sometimes abbreviated as FOOL. The game started development in 2009 and was cancelled in 2012 following a legal dispute between Interplay and Bethesda. Not a whole lot is known about the project, and what we do know, well, to be perfectly honest, it's all quite uninspiring. You could play as a glowing ghoul. There was supposed to be Crazy Ivan's gun store that sold AKs and super duper stimpaks. There's a bunch of concept art, but none of it captures me. Nothing about this game does. In fact, its real legacy is that it shares the name with actual, really existing Fallout Online, making the latter hard to find with search engines. And that's only a part of the problem. Despite having a cult following, the now decades-old Fallout MMO doesn't even have a central wiki. The fans and the devs never bothered to set it up. The best source of information appears to be this website that covers subjects relevant to the Russian equivalent of 4chan. Oh well, to quote the Belarusian dictator and the friend of the show, Alexander Lukashenko, it's time to take action and veto the taboo. In this episode, we will uncover the mystery that's wrapped inside the enigma that is Fallout Online, or FOnline. What if classic Fallout had multiplayer? Personally, I never asked this question, but other individuals did. Fallout Online is a free game engine designed to take advantage of the resources of the old Fallout games and replicate their mechanics while adding mass multiplayer functionality. The first prototypes were created in 2004 by a small team of student modders led by one Oleg Mareskin. In 2006, Anton Cvet Svetinsky joins the development team. Very soon, Cvet seizes the power in the project, becoming the lead developer. That's his words. In this interview, he describes his actions like those of a warlord. Nobody is strong enough to overthrow me. Cvet is originally from Belarus. I used to work as a security guard. I had nothing to do during the night. Saw a thread on Fallout.ru message board. Someone was looking for helpers. I was interested in programming since I was a kid. I made a game called Businessman. But then my PC got stolen. I turned 14 and now I was into other things. Smoking, girls, booze, hooliganism and indecency.
Warp
drive active.
Massive multiplayer online role-playing games, or MMORPGs, used to be popular back when millennials were kids and teens, but then subsequently lost prominence. Real-time strategy games, point-and-click adventure games, old-style shooters did eventually come back, but MMOs never did, because MMOs are crazy expensive to produce. Back when this type of a game was more relevant, there used to be a grand philosophical debate between the two genres of MMO. On one side, we had the sandboxes like Ultima Online or EVE Online, and on the other side, the so-called theme parks like World of Warcraft and Knights of the Old Republic. Which type of the game was better? Funny, we, the enlightened people of the future, know the answer to this question, and that is, nobody cares. People still play EVE and WoW, but these properties are not exactly thriving. That said, FOnline is definitely the first type of MMO, a sandbox where you are given a huge social space to make your own fun. And just like Ultima and EVE, FOnline is very difficult. You can be attacked and killed basically at any time, and dead players drop all their items when killed.
С фулл дропом и с фулл лутом была Ultima Online.
Cvet never played Ultima Online and seemed to be surprised when the interviewer told him it had similar mechanics. He wasn't interested in designing gameplay, preferring to work on technical stuff, delegating everything else to others. He usually had 5-10 helpers. People came and went. Over the years, hundreds of individuals contributed to the project. Some of them eventually made careers in the video game industry. In November 2008, Cvet launched the FOnline beta. The Russian wiki refers to this version of the game as TLA, the life after. FOnline being the engine and TLA the gameplay framework built on top of it. There were several sequential open betas, but with each new session, fewer and fewer people were interested. MMOs fail to conquer the world due to various issues related to accessibility and weird idiosyncratic mechanics, and FOnline sure suffered from all of these. Experienced players with advanced weaponry patrolled the game's towns, exterminating everyone in sight, the fellow players and the NPCs alike. The item duping bugs ruined the economy, and of course there was a culture war between role players, that is, individuals who don't want to have their immersion ruined, and people who don't care about this sort of thing. The community was toxic as hell. Normal MMO stuff comes with the territory. This is what Fallout Online looks like. It's just like the classic Fallout, except zoomed out. It makes sense, since it's a competitive MMO. You need to play zoomed out. Being able to see more of the map gives you an advantage over others. Everyone has a bunch of colored letters over their heads. All the features you expect, like skills and aim shots, are fully implemented. The engine supports both real-time and the turn-based modes, but being a multiplayer game, this is played in real-time. This is what large-scale PvP looks like. Somebody is calling primaries. That's pretty normal stuff. Anyway, despite the setbacks, Cvet kept working on the engine, and soon we got the first foreign servers. The Lawn Journey, a wonderful looking website. New assets, mapping style, all around high effort production. They even made a custom narrated cutscenes in what I assume is Gmod.
All this lovely bedtime stories for little girls has nothing to do with the reality people like you and me are currently in.
The Lawn Journey is about role-playing with direct GM involvement. Curiously, there is no world map. Instead, it's a bunch of local maps linked together. The server had a new season not that long ago, but unfortunately it looks like the initiative died because of a lack of interest. Nobody knows about FOnline.
Раз я за это деньги не беру, значит, я ничего никому не должен.
Cvet had no intention of monetizing or promoting his creation. He had no experience managing the business side of things. This was his hobby, and at the time, he was looking for a job. The wiki has a bunch of compromat on the guy. Let's see. He likes to talk shit and waste other people's time. Same, I suppose. He borrowed money from his fans to buy drugs. Well, to quote Alexander Lukashenko, if you drink every day, don't vote for me. I will not be your friend. In 2010, the community learned that Cvet had a master password that allowed him admin access to any server. The wiki claims he used it maliciously, but no examples are cited. The existence of the master password was revealed by the administration of one of the bigger servers, TNF, the New Future, that had one of the original pre-Cvet developers on board. They did it by using the password to hack Cvet's own server, TLA. Hello, this is an official statement from the New Future administration. Together, we created the most epic drama that FOnline has ever seen. The server is still up, by the way. FOnline Roleplay TNF is its full name. The average online population is 7. Do you want to feel like a wastelander and play the Fallout setting with other people? Here you can play any character from the world of Fallout. Mercenary, caravaner, bartender, raider, scavenger, and much more. More than enough professions for a party of 7. New mechanics. You can fish, create moonshine, talk on the radio, and protect your property from thieves by installing locks. Very cool. Moving on. FOnline 3 is a multiplayer game based on the classic 1997 game Fallout. It offers expansive and immersive post-apocalyptic world for players to explore and experience. A comparatively good number of users, actually. There is a great war between 5 factions: Enclave, Brotherhood of Steel, Vault City, NCR, and Oster Army. A video of the battle for the Broken Hills toilet. The Facebook page is still being regularly updated with detailed in-character news reports. In the beginning, trust nobody. Seriously, newbie abuse is very popular. Definitely the Ultima Online school of MMOs. If a player puts a bomb on you in a guarded town, do not try to drop it from your inventory, as guards will attack you for having a bomb. Your best bet is to quickly leave and drop it on the world map. That sure is a twist on the old mechanic. The world map includes a bunch of locations from Fallout Nevada. It looks like they merged the maps of all 3 games. Super cool.
Писал такой дерьмовый код.
After working on the engine for 16 years, Cvet never made any real money off it. But he did make connections. People helped him get into the professional game dev. But what Cvet really likes is independence. The engine will remain free. The goal is to empower developers. If someone makes a commercially successful game using this technology, they don't owe him a cent. But he thinks he'll still be able to make money off such an event by offering his technical skills. After all, he is the world's leading expert on FOnline technology. As the work progressed, Cvet improved his skills and grew as the programmer, rewriting the engine several times in the process. FOnline is designed for 2D isometric environments. It can do 3D characters, but not maps. Isometric is used colloquially, not technically. Another way to die. Welcome to old school, post-nuclear, free-to-win online game. Looks like this server takes advantage of the assets of the Olympus project, as well as Fallout Nevada. This 2000s-looking website is just great. FOnline is leveling, battles, and of course, a lot of conversations, mountains of corpses, and absurd situations. It's always like this. Welcome. A 2023 post. Is this community still alive? You can play as a mutant. The server's VK page still sees regular updates. Now, many people have a habit of referring to any top-down camera as isometric. This is technically wrong, but 9 times out of 10, it simply doesn't matter. However, it matters a great deal if you're working with graphics. These dudes here asked an AI to make an isometric picture of a car, and sure enough, that's exactly what it did. But Fallout isn't an isometric game. This perspective is called Cavalier Oblique, so the car doesn't fit in with the rest of the sprites. Embarrassing. Although, admittedly, since this is played zoomed out, it probably won't be noticeable.
Да команду-то я наберу без проблем. Команд этих было до сраки.
Cvet described his lifestyle as being between diarrhea and scrofula. There is no shortage of people willing to help, but helpers are useless without a monetary incentive. I can't beat the shit out of them when they refuse to do the work. I am here, they are in Vladivostok, it's useless without the threat of physical violence. Sure, I can raise my voice, but they'll just say, I'm helping for free, and I'm not being respected.
По сути-то он будет прав.
Honestly, they would be right, says the interviewer.
Да, по сути он прав, что он гандон.
Yeah, they would be right. They would be right that they're a used condom. So basically, this is why I don't have a team. Everyone runs away from me. 'Cause I'm a used condom as well. Less so now than in the past. The interviewer makes an attempt to interrupt Cvet, who goes on a tangent about how much of a hellish, gross, used condom he is. Something I've noticed about FOnline-based projects is that almost all of them are European. Americans don't know and or care about this platform.
From Europe's nuclear winter, 2 organizations were able to rise above the rest.
FOnline, Desert Europe. This is an original and intriguing game that's hard to research as most links are dead. Over the years, 2 factions have formed fighting for dominance in Europe. NEC, New Empire Commonwealth, and REF, Royal East Federation. This probably sounds better in Polish. The project went through several sequential betas, and it seems they followed the same pattern as Cvet's own TLA. There was a lot of interest at first, but then people were discouraged by the lack of polish. The devs stopped updating their Facebook page in 2013, but what is there is great. This is some of the most deranged Fallout making I've ever seen, and I say this with the greatest respect. Some of the concept art is very high quality, some of it is embarrassing, and the new sprites, like, holy hell, this actually looks pretty great, at least when zoomed out. And these are the vehicles you can get, I guess. Cool little Soviet cars. I've heard a rumor that somewhere on GitHub there is an archive with all the dev files and art assets.
Раньше здесь у всех по 1000 рублей там.
Eventually, Cvet sent up a Patreon to fund the project. He would occasionally film blog videos for patrons to give insight into his life.
Сейчас мы
This is a drug den. We will make a special contraption to inject mephedrone acetate directly into the anus, because the veins are busted. The Neo-Lurk wiki calls it a classic community video. This is a demonstration, I'm not actually doing it. Honestly, I can't tell if this is the $1 million extreme kind of humor or if he is for real. It's probably the former because, I sometimes buy shoplifted AirPods from drug addiction enthusiasts and individuals who need this sort of injection method. Let's just say they look very different. Speaking of things that are different, the engine can do single-player projects. Arcanum Riverrise. Looks like they had a short-lived open beta, but the game died soon after. The website was last updated in 2013. They still used IRC for communication. The developers experimented with 3D characters. The UI is a hellish mix of Arcanum and Fallout graphics. Let's take a look at this beautiful world map. Misty Peak, Wonderful Place, Lake Monty, a train, John Quincy's Railroad. Your ex is in this game, a sea liner. The Titanic story seems perfect for the Arcanum setting, doesn't it? Romance, class relations, machine colliding with nature. Is that what it's about? I just realized I've never actually seen Titanic. There is a version of the world map that shows the locations of the major settlements. Clearly some work was put into this. Unfortunately, most of it seemed to have perished.
Выкачивание бабла.
Cvet worked on Escape from Tarkov early in that project's development history. After spending half a year with the team, he says he is sorry for wasting everyone's time. I don't play online games, especially not after my kids were born. I think they are extortion schemes. He spent 2 years at Wargaming. That's a big company. Cvet worked on World of Warships.
На корабли пришел, я тоже не понимал.
Yeah, ships. I don't get it. In the interview, that is a few years old now, he talks about a possibility of him getting a job at Mail.ru, a Russian tech company with a terrible reputation. Truly, a bridge between East and West. Some of these companies combine the worst qualities of both EA and Tencent when it comes to exploitatively milking their users. Maybe I can learn from them, says Cvet. We will exploit the bad people. Good people will suffer minimal exploitation. The low-tax school of doing business. It actually worked really well for him. Until it didn't. Fallout Australia. ModDB description. Fallout Online Australia is a project that basically places the Fallout-style world inside Australia, with zombies, crafting, slavery, children, building houses and farms. You can do just about anything. Farms? Well, to quote the Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, we must feed our people with good potatoes. The project intrigued me with the promise of a single-player mode, but the dedicated executable you can download from ModDB doesn't seem to work, and the server is quite dead. Looks like there used to be a thriving community at some point many years ago. So the world map is Australia. That's cool. Emu County. Infected Danger Zone. Zombies do seem to be a theme. As you can see, the server features new Aussie sand tiles. IMO, this map is empty and doesn't logic. Oh well, you should fix wall inside building because it only used outside. Open Reading/San Francisco map and check it. I say it because this map is not look good. So if you want to have better game, you should make better maps. If you can do better, do it and submit it. Don't complain with my work. I am no artist, and I'm considerably spread thin as I am the only person working on this project. Where other servers, like TLA, have 6+ people and some developers who do mapping as their main role. I can see both sides of this argument. New Australia Republic. Police cruisers. An artillery battery protects the community from wasteland savages. Uh-oh. Looks like Marlon Fist, Mr. Felzer, and Brad are in trouble. I wish there was a Saudi Arabia Fallout.
считал FOnline просто как...
I saw no benefit in growing a community around the engine. I saw FOnline as my hobby project. But then as you have kids and they grow up and you're still doing what you used to do 16 years ago, well, perhaps it's more than a hobby.
Очень хотят камбэка.
People want the game to come back. People want you to promote your creation. Perhaps you see things differently now. Perhaps you want to take care of the media side of things.
Да, я сейчас этим и занимаюсь.
Yes, I'm doing this right now, actually. That's why I wasn't writing any code for 2 weeks. I'm studying these mechanisms. Did you see the gift I made to my wife? I did a cover for a song, White Snow or whatever. I did a terrible job, but I wasn't trolling. I was being earnest.
Все хорошо, но это не относится к медиа.
What does this have to do with promoting the engine?
Лайки заказать.
I figured out how to buy likes on social media. FOnline Last Breath is a solo game built with FOnline engine. It takes place in east of Europe. The player will have full freedom in his action. You can be a raider, a simple merchant, a protector. There will be an NPC faction with Warzone. The world await you. Last updated November 10, 2014. There isn't much to this project, but it's interesting to see single-player fan games. Discover Siberian Desert and its secrets. The game uses the classic 2D tiles, but the characters are in 3D. This seems to be the new Vegas version of Advanced Power Armor. The minigun might be from the Van Buren tech demo, but then again maybe not. This certainly looks custom-made.
И твои дерзкие ответы, значит, в этом письме.
In 2020, Cvet received a cease and desist letter from Zenimax, the company that owns Bethesda, id, and Arcane. A Fallout narc ratted him out to Fallout cops. Dear website owner, you are using Zenimax trademarks as meta tag, keyword, media, or other visible or concealed text in connection to your website, FOnline.ru. By doing so, you intentionally seek to attract users to your website. We must ask that you cease the development of your project and remove all the files. Cvet wrote a response. Hello, Zynga guys. My name is Anton Cvetinsky, also known as Cvet. This is my official answer on your request.
Бог все видит, Бог все видит.
God sees all. God sees all. If you keep doing this to common modders who spend their time tinkering with the old games, says Cvet while holding a pocket Bible.
Все.
Ну, вообще, по большому счету,
Can they really prevent you from working on the project? They said the intellectual property ain't being used like it's supposed to.
Интеллектуальная хуинтеллектуальная.
Intellectual, shit-intellectual. What are they gonna do? Bring me to The Hague?
Что они
Антон,
меня
ты пойми,
в Гагу?
The cornerstone of Cvet's legal defense strategy appears to be the claim that he can't understand English. But even that seems to be only half true.
нет,
В Леди Гагу.
Цвет, тебя можно вообще никуда не...
The interviewer is skeptical. The court session doesn't even have to involve your physical presence. You can just get fined.
А. Так не может быть.
Cvet is in disbelief. This can't be. Well, in that case, I'll go there and beat the shit out of someone. No, I'm serious. I'll bring a baseball bat and beat to a bloody pulp some bureaucrat responsible for this.
Что тебе это даст, как тебе это поможет?
How is that gonna help?
Я хотя бы буду морально.
At least I'll be morally satisfied. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure the letter was a prank. Zenimax lawyers are safe. For now. Cvet intends to separate the FOnline engine from Fallout. This is called What Remains, another single-player project that combines the classic Fallout graphics with pre-rendered backgrounds, like in the Infinity Engine games such as Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment. Oh yes, the engine fully supports this. What Remains will take place in the northeastern region of the former United States of America, in the year 2097. Even though the region might sound familiar to our real-life universe, the war has left scars on the actual people living there. air, the flora and fauna, and on the very landscape itself. The game tells a linear story staggered into chapters, with always some months, sometimes even years between each chapter, to compensate for the huge size of the actual game world. The visual style is noticeably more grim than in the original. Last updated in 2011. What remains has gone Web 2.0. Hell yeah. I don't think this ever reached a prototype stage.
Получал другой опыт.
I have 2 kids, a wife, a $70,000 a month mortgage. There is not a single person in this community I didn't ask for money at some point. Some years ago, Cvet was hired to work on the throwback RPG called Encased. He was fired the next day. Possibly they learned of information that discredits me, he says. Maybe it was this. Or maybe it was an issue with split loyalties, because he was involved with at least one other commercial project. If the Frontier is so good, how come there is no Frontier 2? The Great War between the USSR and the USA wiped out most life forms on the planet. The survivors faced a new threat, the deadly cold of nuclear winter. The game takes place in 2052 in the Soviet Far East, as well as Alaska. Due to global cooling, the 2 continents were connected by an ice bridge. The costume of the traditionalists from New Gamble. Caravaner tents. Cool. Master of the Forest. A bear with extra limbs. Ooh. Both the Soviets and the Americans used a lot of these tall quad-tracked vehicles. The artist loves drawing them, I guess. I made an RPG system for a game, but then another designer showed up, said the system is shit, and built his own. And then another designer showed up and said that system was shit. I think we are on the 5th system now. The visuals are very obviously inspired by the classic Fallout, and they look quite good, except that the game is played zoomed out. Why even bother making all these detailed sprites if we won't actually be able to see the detail? The game is still in active development, currently in alpha.
Он изначально планировался как коммерческая игра.
We always envisioned Last Frontier as a commercial product. We want to make money of it, get cash, make bank, make the users pay us money so we get rich, buy ourselves yachts, cars. And I want this for other developers as well, so they could make their games, so they could buy themselves cars, houses, apartments, food, live well, without spending 4 years making a mod people play and then they shit on you. They play it for free and then they say, meh.
Что-то это. Вот.
If you want to play with Cvet's engine, head to FOnline.ru. One of the big problems with the software was always the lack of documentation, and it doesn't seem this was ever addressed. As much as I appreciate Cvet's philosophical contributions to the discourse, do not use the FOnline engine for commercial game development. As far as I can tell, there have been 0 successful attempts at doing this. Do use the FOnline engine to play Ultima FOnline with your friends. Perhaps this is something people in your Discord server will find curious or entertaining. Do not inject mephedrone acetate into your anus via the Cvet contraption. Do purchase stolen AirPods from shoplifters. Give your money to criminals. Give your money to me via the crowdfunding platform Patreon. Huge thanks to our patrons, including Jim Lawrence, Buck Swope, Snafu, Miracle Moses Porter, Dmitry Yu, Time to Take Out the Trash, Eric Luitke-Hans, Tony Spagani, Dark Butt Pumpkin, Sidirom Fossil, Nathan Kabiska, Frog, Azazel and Baneful the Doggo, Marchin Iron, Hank of the Hill, I Feed My Parrot Chicken, Yuri Solodovnichenko, Ganso Bomber Motherfucker, Rayners, C6, Jackson Phillips, Source is the best engine ever made, Ilya Rubin, Danny Kilpatrick, 1967 Ford Mustang, a 2-room apartment in Bobruisk, Belarus. So a closing anecdote, the secret history of Fallout multiplayer. Few know this, but neither FOnline nor Fool were the first to bring this sort of functionality to the Fallout setting. Before MMOs, we had MUDs, or multi-user dungeons. These were essentially proto-MMOs that didn't have graphics. If your client supports it, and if your server supports it, you might get a minimap. and maybe some ASCII art. But that's it. When I was a kid, I used to play something called Desolation Mod that hybridized the world of Fallout 1 with that of the Wasteland series, so it had both Junktown and Highpool. I don't think I've ever seen more than a dozen people online. The thing about mods is that they were never really popular. A bigger server might have a population in the low hundreds, but most of the ones I've played averaged 6-8 players. These are not exactly MMO numbers. It felt like you were invited to somebody's tabletop session that had a bunch of people you don't know, but they all seem to know each other. It was weird. The culture that exists in FOnline reminded me of mods a lot. Anyways, if you played FOnline, I know that you have a lot of stories to share. Please note that the YouTube comment section hates links and it hates incendiary language, which is relevant because a great deal of the Anglophone FOnline experiences seem to involve innocent foreigners joining Russian servers and then being exposed to the culture of six-dimensional Eurasian racism and trying to cope with that. The video for September is going to be a very long narrative project.